Hello YouTube. Alright, we're gonna start on my first real video. Um, we're gonna briefly talk and kind of broadly go over some of the main ideas that I'm gonna be talking about. I mean, we're gonna go more in depth into specific subjects. I mean, because it could turn into a very long video. Anyways, this is all going to be about information exchange, how to process information, and basically how to learn. Not necessarily like what to learn, but to better obtain truth. Now, one of the main things is that one of the main thoughts that I thought about was that people think they're better than other people because of the information they know. Like they know more than you do, thus they are superior to you. However, that's kind of bullshit in the information age because the information age, with the internet, you have pretty much access to every possible uh, little snippet of information that ever even existed, practically. Practically. Um, to humanity. I mean, never before has this been able to happen. I mean, previously, if you wanted to know any information, you'd go to a library, and then like if they didn't have that, you had to go to a more intense library, and then you had to like, go to like the Library of Congress if you wanted very specific information that they only had. Separate specific documents, or maybe you needed copies of that. And you didn't have to go that far into the process, but still, I mean, never before has this ever truly, really happened. So the internet is a really good tool, and it's not all about what you know. I mean, memory is one thing. I mean, just because you can remember some information that makes you better, no, it's really about how you can process information, not necessarily what you can actively remember, and how quickly you can obtain that information. So, the internet it really it falls into under a new paradigm where all of a sudden, in order to be educated, you don't necessarily have to go to school. You don't necessarily have to go to authoritarian figures of knowledge. Like this is the only way to think. This is correct. That's false. However, there are objective and scientific means of evaluating truth, at least, and also there is bullshit on the internet. I mean, but there's truth on the internet. So um, it's really about how you can discern information, if you can cross-reference sources, things of this nature. A lot of people don't like Wikipedia. But Wikipedia is actually pretty damn reliable. Um, I've been experiencing it for well over 3 years now, and um, within 5 minutes, if you even change anything, it's changed back. There's a history tab that specifically shows exactly what has been changed. There's peer-reviewed articles, especially over really popular articles, say like evolution. That main article has been peer-reviewed several times because it's been featured on the front page. Um, and the whole paradigm of Wikipedia overall, the community is, actually willing to exchange information. So it's a different model. It's not necessarily as uh, legit, or it's not very stable, I guess you could say. It's not uh, easily confirmed that this is true. Like if a publisher wanted, if they publish a book, it is their responsibility if that information is correct. But with the internet, it's just like it's just any random fuck can say whatever the fuck he wants. Like right here, I'm just some random fuck. So I mean, to you at least. The real part I really want to talk about, though, about the exchange of information, is that if you even want to start getting interested in learning about things, you got to understand, one, how the mind works, and you got to understand basic cognitive biases. Wikipedia has a great little list of cognitive biases with a great many of different subjects. Like one of them, for instance, confirmation bias is a really big one, and is going to be probably the most used bias by anyone, really. Confirmation bias is, well, let's see the definition. Um, okay, in psychology and cognitive science, confirmation bias is a tendency to search for or interpret new information in a way that confirms one's preconceptions and avoids information and interprets or interpretations which contradict prior belief. It is a type of cognitive bias and represents an error of inductive inference, or as a form of selection bias toward confirmation of the hypothesis under study or disconfirmation of an alternative hypothesis. So basically what's going on is, for instance, two different groups are going to look at a video, of the on the news, and one group's going to go, "Oh, that's pro this." Like for instance, if it was about an Israeli-Palestinian conflict, people are only going to select the snippets of information that they see as biased, which is another part of media bias. And so the pro-Israeli people are going to go, "Oh, that's a pro-Palestinian, story or whatever," and the Palestinians are going to be, "Oh, it's pro-Israel story. Look at all these faults," and that is a error in thinking, and you're going to really have to catch yourself if you really want to know the truth. A lot of people are claiming out there that they know the truth, but they really don't. Anyone who claims to know the truth doesn't have the truth, straight up. Um, I'm trying to sort of conduct a different take on informational processing, which I like to call truthism, like, the process in which you're obtaining truth. However, some weird ass, like, alien, Anukai, sort of like, aliens have taken over the government sort of people hijack the word. And I guess there's like truthism.com or some shit that they have, and that is nothing about what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is some word I made up, basically. But basically, truthism, or whatever you want to call it, is all about how to obtain truth. And how you obtain truth, there's no esoteric knowledge, there's no divine knowledge of any of this nature. Everything's based off of scientific principles like, evidence, fact gathering, fact checking, cross referencing, you know, basically uh, trying to understand objective reality. But there's also a subjective nature to truth as well, and I don't think those truths should actually be taken, out of the picture. So, the philosophy of truth is going to definitely incorporate these ideas, and we're going to go over these topics more later. But one of the things that I definitely want anyone who's watching this to look up is go to Wikipedia or Google and type in list of cognitive biases, uh, read fucking all of them, and recognize them every time you're actually thinking. Like, I act like I'm fucking smart and shit, but I still sometimes fall into some of those cognitive biases. I'm only human. And the real trick, though, is to catch yourself while you're doing it. Because, it's one thing to just think you're right, and another thing to constantly scrutinize even yourself. Because that's the other thing about confirmation bias. A lot of people, when they're taking in new information, will intensely scrutinize this new information, but they won't even scrutinize their own beliefs that maybe you know, they had accepted without any real good evidence. For instance, religion and indoctrination as a kid. Um, these kids are just being told what the truth is, and then later in life they could be much more intelligent, and then all of a sudden they're going to still try to confirm the previous beliefs, even though that they didn't really come to those conclusions with any real good solid evidence. So that's another flaw or error of thinking. And you also want to research logical fallacies. You'll probably be hearing those a lot on YouTube. People chucking logical fallacies at other people. One of the big ones is ad hominem. And that's where you attack someone and don't necessarily attack their points. You're like, "Oh, well, that person made a really good point, but he's a fucking fag, so it doesn't even matter." That's an ad hominem. And yeah, just really try to research these different concepts. I'll go over them more in depthly in time. I'm running out of time here. I'm just using quick capture. I'm actually a computer nerd. I don't have a lot of fucking software for this webcam shit. It's not my computer, so my computer's in my room. But whatever. So yeah, just take that at heart. If you've never heard of any of those things, look them up, and it's very interesting to know that even your own mind, can deceive you. All right, so peace.